My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. See thepatternofconduct.wordpress.com.
It's 6:02 a.m. The Ontario Fire Department engaging in criminal summoning. This is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. This is criminal facilitation. This is the entity that has been group stalking all night with the Ontario Police Department, group stalking by helicopter. These are the acts of terrorism while the entity is engaged in federal group stalking monitoring with the people of the state. It is again 6:02 a.m. That is criminal summoning the Ontario Fire Department crossing path while sounding sirens and using lights, all right, while monitoring documentation. The brevity of the use of that sirens is indicative of what is monitoring documentation. The entity's conduct is directly indicative of that ongoing knowledge. The conduct that they engage in is informed based on what my documentation of it. It is again 6:02 a.m. and this is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. That is criminal summoning by the Ontario Fire Department. It's Thursday, May 19, 2022. This is P.O.C.
(7ZWF932) 8ROY394 6KPN041 8WBH916 7ENH857 8PTG869 6ETJ437. This is the same entity that is engaging in terrorism with the Ontario Police Department that is routinely stalking nightly, daily by helicopter. 8PNJ535. Just want to be clear, this is the same exact entity. License 8EBK742. 982P76, that's Nevada. JP Joint Union High School. License 1302411. License 7UMW918. That's exactly what you heard on my podcast and in video. Amplified audible activity, the people of the state group stalking at those late hours while I'm at the museum. This is the same exact entity. Naming those in order to publish on my own means of documenting and publishing the criminal system. This is showing how you are able to document what you're subject to, and it's immediate grounds of what is federal prison, by the way. 8YVL628, I believe. 6LPK790. That is monitoring with the police department, who is engaging in a specific act with every intent to do nothing other than to terrorize. And this is what the Ontario Police Department are doing while they're stalking using their vehicles and using helicopter, okay? This is what I have been documenting. 8XBL154. Companies such as Union Pacific. You're talking about what is very serious crimes of federal prison. All right, they're licensed 6PQK355. 7ZVV678. 68243S1. This is criminal surveillance with that entity that is stalking by helicopter. The people of the state are engaged in surveillance with that entity. The people of the state are monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. All right, and it's not unique to Ontario. The entity is engaging in this. That's exactly what the Fontana Police Department engaged in. 8WVP717. License YP05213. That's Pun Quality Logistics Incorporated. 7RUE910. 7HCT587. OPARC CF041 Handicap 26521M2. 5GXT650. 6UAV992. 6VBC273, 8T65439,
8Y. I can't really see the rest on. 7X98346. 7ECU 758. 61637V2. Primary care. Group stalking. License 8XBL154 67625B1 6YMV259 8TVG220. License 9AMU364 5VO. I can't really see that. I'm just scared someone. 6FTB857. And capturing again the dark-skinned male. He's either like Indian or maybe Middle Eastern. I don't think he's necessarily African American, but nonetheless, the dark-skinned male with he's a violent sex offender, a demon engaging in molestation by direct delight, group stalking at the bus stop. I did capture a small video of that. I'm going to translate that into just a screenshot showing proof of his image. He's group stalking and doing so with the Ontario Police. 96604K3, 8SJC217, 4WAE911, 8NVZ920, NI7485. That's Old Dominion Freight Line. 93464W1, 5CCB286, 8YTM531, 7LVU716, 3LHH191, 8TWL716, 8KKD553, 8WAB811, I believe. And it's 8:32 a.m. The very evidence of that, and I have substantial documentation of the Ontario Police Department. Like I said, it is the documentation serving for what is also necessary federal policy, as I have advocated. You're talking about disbanding. You're talking about a sick agency. It's not just one police officer, such as M. Ross, a demon. That's all of them. That's why they're using helicopters and stalking me. And I'm referencing the Ontario Police Department, and you're understanding that's actually the pattern of conduct of group stalking. The Fontana Police Department, stalking, terrorizing, the same exact pattern, okay? The Los Angeles Police Department, do you remember that? The same exact pattern, stalking by helicopters, terrorism with the people of the state, documented that in the specific environment, including with the fake sun, 6YAZ227. It's not just the sickness of the Ontario Police. It's not just that. But you're talking about what is a demonic behavioral pattern, what is terrorism on its face, and what's the grounds of federal prison by the people of the state. Driving an Omnitrans bus, 1404973, bus 1329. Group stalking, getting on the bus, monitoring, on the sidewalk. You document, however, and they're subject to federal prison together. License 73449F3. A42275. TS347. That's out of state license plate on this large truck. This is David, employee 2366. That's operating Omnitrans and group stalking, monitoring with the people of the state and the Ontario Police Department. It's 8:34 a.m. Queen Street crossing path.
To get that joint, yeah. The 85 is the one you don't want to miss. One going to Chafee.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
how do you know what type of path?
I really don't know because they changed the time.
They keep on.
Yeah, and it's like it'll be every 15 minutes and every 45 minutes and then it's like every 30 minutes and yeah, it's hard, but
again, if I left right now, you know what I do right now? If that bus
That's David,
30,
and this is audible activity. The African American female with the yellow jacket on, captured her image. Those are the two that are monitoring. That's what that conversation is. They're demons that engage in this conduct in directed light. Chit-chat like everything's normal, they're monitoring. It is 8:35 a.m. 7J8T030 1469411. That's City of Ontario. It's 8:35 a.m.
Because I was like, I missed the bus. So sometimes I was going all the way up there and like I see it pass by and then I just ride the bus back down in case of 87.
Well, right here, you got your choice.
Yeah.
87 or some jacks, 66, jacks 81, even. So many choices actually. But,
Yeah, so it'd be 908 and then 938 and then 1037.
so 908.
Yeah, 908 and then 9
About 8 o'clock.
and then 808. 808 and then 908 938 and then 1037 then 1137. That's why I said then they start running like every hour.
Okay, so then you're waiting like half like
Yeah,
half
so
hour right now.
License 7CWX 675.
because
87 already left.
well, the one that comes at well, see if you go up there and you already listed, by the time you come back, it should be another 87 coming by.
Yeah.
Are you
I remember the guy mentioned the 87 passed by. Very late.
6K at HX 609.
And then the 87 was right behind. It was like maybe like
And again, like I stated, the multiple police departments engaging in this terrorism by helicopter, that's exactly what the San Bernardino Police Department did as well. You're recalling the Montclair Police Department, 8SDR 955. The entity, this is the pattern of conduct, 68345E3. And I want to be clear, the people of the state, for example, Emporia Lofts, they are monitoring with the entity that is stalking in that manner while I'm at the museum. That's a method of documenting when you are not, for example, surrounded by anybody where you can document the people of the state, okay? You're talking about what's documenting for purpose of going to federal prison. And in addition to documenting the state, documenting the people of the state. And people, in other words, being held accountable for the criminal system that they're engaging in. And living in relevant position while the entity is stalking by helicopter while I'm at the museum overnight, where the people of the state are in relevant position at the Emporia Lofts. That is a method of documentation with regard to relevant positioning. And that's not the only property, but I'm giving you an example. And they are documented engaging that criminal system with the Ontario Police on an ongoing basis, by the way. 7BYK565, the minions who I'm documenting at the museum. 5N53578. The minions that I'm documenting, when I'm up now, it's a ceaseless pattern of conduct. It's not taking that same criminal system is underway, and as I get up, and I'm documenting the entity, this is the same pattern of conduct. You're talking about what is a ceaseless pattern of conduct. That is also another method of documenting the same exact entity, prosecuting the people of the state and the state that's acting directly by the demons of the Ontario Police Department, engaging in that method of terrorism, stalking by helicopter. All right. In other words, communicating hostility on behalf of all the demons who I'm documenting throughout the day, and then they complete their demonic system with flying over by helicopter and doing so on a nightly basis. And again, this is the pattern of conduct. That's not a coincidence. I'm subject to that when I went to Los Angeles, in Montclair, in San Bernardino. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. License 8PSZ 237. It is 8:39 a.m. and also the same exact pattern conduct while on Omnitrans, a third party, 8WPB 873, by this very same third party operating the bus, by the way. And I captured that on video. A method of documenting the people that are acting vicariously on behalf of that entity that's stalking, following around in helicopter. It is axiomatic. Such documentation is the grounds of federal prison. All right, 18KS 587, absolutely unlawful and intolerable, and it is serving for the prosecution of not just the police departments. These are demon-possessed, these are criminals, and I'm showing you their criminal conduct and the wound that they are, the infection that they are to literally the public, to society engaging in this criminal system. And that criminal conduct that they're engaged in, it's accomplishing criminal monitoring, and it is pointing a finger directly at those third parties who will be subject to federal prison, monitoring in such methods with the state. That's exceeding the criminal intent, the criminal purpose of seeking to harass and injure, which is the language under existing federal law. As I've stated, Title 18 does not go far enough. This is that which is terrorism on its face, while you have what is also a very demented and threatening condition. They're a bunch of demons engaged in this conduct, and they are doing so while also stalking with helicopters and stalking by the demon-possessed police police departments. All right, stalking with the people of the state. Yeah, that's terrorism, and you go to federal prison for that. All right, license 21368K2. GM Sager Construction Company, license 16426G3. They are stalking at Chaffee Joint Union High School with light activity. They're monitoring with minors, facilitating that criminal system. All right, and they're also stalking with the state, but I want to be clear, the venue where we're at, this is the pattern of conduct underway. Minions on the bus underage, the venue of Chaffee Joint Union High School, minions monitoring with communication devices, and that company is facilitating that criminal conduct. 8 DNT, 8, I can't really see the rest of it. Student Transportation of America Crossing Path, 7 MOE 164. SHJMARCY, I believe. 5 EBF. I can't really see the rest of them. 8 CBS 812. HOA 971. NED 284, McLean Crossing Path. T5492, I can't really see the rest of that license plate, but that's McLean Trucking. EOJ 178, 6HJN 282, 8F04X74 paper. $7334934. C8FBF376. Highlight Electric Incorporated, California 0393107. They are stalking in the middle of the path at 7th Street and Euclid Avenue, creating light activity, massive facilitation. License 15373G3, 8ZEN 814. Rolling Grain Tree Care, pacing. They already crossed path, they're crossed path again. License 0932622. And let's see. FedEx is crossing path. Seven 4476K2. 6W04542. Excuse me, 6BAX18081CL595.
Ready?
Thank you.
License 43913F2 and getting off of Route 83. Bus 1329, license 1404973. That's employee David, employee number 2366, monitoring. Monitoring with these minions at the 7-Eleven in Upland, 59467 in 1. License 7WZU186, 4YXV625, 6NDW090. KUB457. All right, and this is ongoing identification of the entity that is engaging in terrorism with the Ontario Police Department. Okay, this is it's 8:48 a.m. I'm at 7-Eleven, and that's how easy when you're going to a venue where the entity is engaged in surveillance all day long. Guess what those employees are? Identification of the entity that is terrorizing in concert with the Ontario Police Department, and monitoring with the Ontario Police or any police agency, period, the grounds of federal prison. That's exactly what they're doing inside of 7-Eleven. It's 8:48 a.m. Our license 4VUB302, PROUD. Again, that looks like paper. It says U.S.P ROUD. I don't think that's actually a license plate. This is a Caucasian female with a boy haircut. The front license plate, yeah, is covered up with the same BS. This is the red Chevy. That is the criminal removal, alteration of publicly available identifying information. That's an additional federal charge to the people. Alrighty, let's see, the people of the state, 95381T1. Again, documenting, that's the third party that is covering up a license plate, that piece of paper that says U.S. proud while she's engaging in un-American conduct. That's funny. That's a federal charge, and the entity itself is absorbing that federal charge, and also that particular actor, that is grounds of federal prison. Okay, 1592729. The entity that's monitoring your documentation, the entity that is engaging in terrorism, the entity that is not only trying to obstruct justice in more than one way. You're talking about kidnapping, you're talking about criminal defamation, you're talking about what is criminal summoning, and then also trying to conceal their identity. And by their identity, this is the state. That's the state of California, removing what is publicly available identifying information with ongoing knowledge that you're being documented. You're group stalking, and then you're trying to cover up. That's an egregious, that's another level of that egregious criminal conduct. And that's an additional federal charge. And you're also not hiding from anyone. You will be found and you will be prosecuted for that. It's currently 8:53 a.m. 7YXF733. I can't really see that one. 8RZY017. They're group stalking at the Upland First United Methodist Church. 7FNZ617, 8LSK801, 8JTT039, 6LJT683, and 6YKM002. 6XSF988. City of Upland crossing path. 6A35514. I can't miss the rest of them. 8VYF312. License. That's 8YVF812. 9AMM551, 8XCN110, OCBOUJE, 7RGG200, K234AO, 7DQU321, 8WZA960, 6WVY089, 070XV, handicap, 6NDW090, group stalking at the 7-Eleven and crossing path. That's the entity engaging in what is the alteration, removal, the unlawful attempt to conceal what is publicly available identifying information. Excuse me, 5RMT 650. TAF 800. 7XEV 2. I can't really see that one. You just guys know. I can't see that one. 8VSA 486. 8EMW 413. 7H20238. NDY 3471, that's Texas. One 624-927, American Red Cross, group stalking. 8JSW 670, group stalking. License 6SSR 330. And it's currently 8:57 a.m. Burtech is crossing path. The minion with the black t-shirt on and the blue shorts, he's following from the Methodist church, the intersection of C Street and Euclid, and loitering in relevant position. He's group stalking by walking in front of me on the sidewalk, and then he's loitering at the Upland Public Library. I did capture an image of that group stalking conduct. He's at the Upland Public Library. 78TU571, 8VBR311, 8M13998, 8UOG842, 52311M2, 04935G3. License 19801M2, 7ERP439, 95381T1, 5GUB317, 7F77966, 6UYB182, DO53CO, and it is 8:58 a.m. And the minion group stalking at the gas stall on surveillance cameras at 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue with the paper printout on her vehicle, front and back license plate that says U.S. proud, not license plates. That is the ongoing concealment by, which is, again, not responding to, and in no way, again, you're not prepared, which the entity is not prepared for being prosecuted based on a legal framework that is designed to in every way break down this criminal system. And that is one that's trying to cover up their license plate. In other words, it's individualizing the P.O.C. as though you're concealing, first of all, your license plate is going to in any way stop you from being found and prosecuted. It's not. And also, you are talking about what you say, what you do, which you are group stalking on behalf of the state. The minions that are surrounding in concert with you are being prosecuted for everything that you are saying and doing. You're acting as an entity. All right, but like I said, this is the entity that seeks to individualize. Oh, I'm going to cover up my license plate because I don't want them to identify me. And this is the state of California that you're documenting, acting through the multitudinous, all right, minions. All right, and so you're talking about what is the criminal act of one. They may be trying to hide their face. For example, group stalking with light activity at a distance away from you, trying to speed off, engaging what is criminal conduct that the entire entity is going to be prosecuted for, and doing so, which is criminal conduct attributed to the state of California as well. And you're talking about what is the futile effort of, again, your mind state when they engage in that. It's futility. It's the individualization of what is not individualized. Group stalking is not based on some individual. It's group stalking. It's the state of California. The state of California is vicariously stalking through the people of the state. It's state surveillance, doing it through every single last one of them. All right. And they speak together. They stalk together. They kidnap together. They defame together as they are doing it on behalf of the state and as they do it as an entity. Ongoing cooperative stalking activity. All right, so I just want to point that out. And also, while that minion is so proud, she's not proud, trying to conceal her identity. That's funny. Anyway, that minion crossing path again on Euclid Avenue, and I did capture images of her group stalking presence while she is submitting payment on surveillance cameras at 7-Eleven in the city of Upland. More than one method of documentation is also underway. So it's currently 9:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. The demons are pacing around at this venue where the entity keeps a fake sun. As I documented upon stepping out of this venue after 6:30 in the evening, I captured the impossible light aiming diagonally through the entrance doors. The fake sun you could see directly out the same entrance where I stood in the morning. But after, 9:47, I'm standing by the Veterans Monument. And then 10:19 a.m. where I'm showing you that light source that's over me. You're talking about it was after 6 p.m. I stepped out, approximately 6:41 p.m. And the fake sun is at that same entryway. And then at that time, now aiming light somehow diagonally into those entrance doors. You see the direction that those doors face. The entrance doors are are on the what would be the north side of the Upland Public Library. The south side is facing D Street, and somehow through the north side you have light diagonally reaching into the depths. Not only is it impossible by virtue of that light that's flat onto the floor, reaching forward into the building, also even the position of the doors. You're talking about the doors face north. The fake sun is supposedly on the west side of the library. And so somehow you have sunlight that's aiming into those doors at that vantage point, which is also nothing other than on the opposite side of the same entrance doors where it was at 10:19 in the morning. In every way, just showing what is the stalking with light conduct. And as I documented the demons that are stalking on behalf of the Ontario Police Department, for example, the Ontario Police Department are not the only one. The Upland Police Department are engaging in the pattern of conduct as well. They're monitoring. This is what you're subject to, whatever city. If I go to Montecito, if I go to Montclair, if I go to Chino Hills, you're talking about what is the state system underway, and the law enforcement agencies again are engaging in that pattern of conduct via the people, in concert with the people. And I've broken down all of their methods of that surveillance system that remains underway, directly and vicariously. And the Ontario police are engaging in what is criminal conduct that's attributed to the entity. The entity stalking you overnight by helicopter, you are documenting that same exact entity as you get up for wherever you were subject to that terrorism. That pattern of conduct continues, and you are documenting on an ongoing basis that entity that is subject to what is federal prison for that criminal act. All right, you're not taking a pause. In other words, you're not documenting only at that second those who are subject to federal prison because they have to be present right there in front of you while the entity is flying over you repeatedly by helicopter. That's not how that works. Group stalking is a ceaseless criminal act. And stalking and terrorizing by helicopter is one method of this terrorizing system. And that criminal system is ceaselessly underway. The entity is using what is a high level of resources to engage in maintaining group presence in order to place you under surveillance. And that same abundance of resources is what you will literally use to prosecute and are subject to federal prison as you document. All right. And it is also going on the criminal record of the people of the state in general, engaging in terrorism. That's going on your criminal record. Engaging in kidnapping. That's going on your criminal record, in addition to those who will literally serve time in federal prison for it as you're documented. It's currently 9:04 a.m. And I am at the Upland Public Library. This is P.O.C. It's Thursday, May 19, 2022. Video captured May 19th, 2022 at 9:34 a.m. at the Upland Public Library and the Upland City Hall in Upland, California. This is criminal summoning. That's AMR, criminal summoning, and stalking by helicopter. There you go. Upland Police Department. Flying right over. This is where the entity keeps a fake sun all day. That's criminal summoning by American Medical Response. All right, and while you're documenting the entity, as I'm speaking to the entity that's engaging in that POC, the entity engaging in that very same pattern of conduct, this is the entity that's monitoring documentation and specifically engages in that pattern of conduct. I want to be clear, the Upland Unified School District engaging in terrorism. This is the San Bernardino County Fire Department. They're engaged in terrorism. They're monitoring. The entity is group stalking via the people. The Upland City Hall is engaging the POC. That was a minion that was walking out. She's crossing path while the entity is sounding sirens and flying over, approaching by helicopter. Okay, it's currently 9:35 a.m. Molly Super, that's a venue and relevant position. They're monitoring. That is the entity that is maintaining presence to the people of the state along what is Arrow Highway. This is First Avenue and Second Avenue. This is D Street, and this is Euclid Avenue. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 9:35 a.m. and that is the entity's engagement in concert with, and that is actually the Upland Police Department itself that's engaging in that with American Medical Response. That's called criminal summoning. All right, and you can use literally the venues, the people of the state that live right here. That's documentation. They're engaged in that pattern of conduct, including the minion whose law office is right here at Arrow Highway at this end of the street. The Grossman Law Center engaged in criminal summoning on Euclid Avenue. This is relevant positioning. They're all monitoring together. This is how you're documenting, and this is prosecution for that. This is the grounds of federal prison. The entity is engaging. You've got the market, the liquor market, Sam's Market right here at Arrow Highway. They're monitoring. They're engaging in terrorism with the entity. There's another Sammy's 5 Market right here across the street. They are monitoring with the entity that flies over me by helicopter, facilitation while the use of sirens under what is, again, the light source, which remains right here directly over me. And it is 9:36 a.m. Documentation already exists where I am literally documenting the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in Rancho Cucamonga. This is not possibly the sun, in other words, not the natural environment where they are engaging in this conduct. 9:35 a.m. Recall documentation, April 8, 2022. I'm also being in Pomona at the same time inside of the Starbucks at 101 Mission Boulevard. This is the same precise pattern of conduct. And while the entity is engaging in this iteration, while I'm speaking of the Ontario Police Department on my podcast, as I capture that video, this is why the entity engages in it. It is the direct evidence against the entity. They're group stalking at the Upland City Hall. This is the state facilitating venue. He is crossing path, but everybody inside of the venue is engaging in this criminal system. All right, this is state surveillance. And this is how an entity engages in terrorism, by the way. It is currently 9:37 a.m. and this is the placement of the light source, which is in direct violation of literally scientific facts. The sun is not going to remain over me, where I am at the same time, again, not only in, for example, Fontana, and it's central like this, just like this over my head in Fontana, inside of the Starbucks in Pomona, California, at the intersection of Hellman and I believe 9th Street in Rancho Cucamonga, where the entity is stalking by helicopter at this same exact time. And this is not possibly the sun. This is stalking with light, while the entity is stalking by helicopter and stalking by the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, as I documented April 8th, 2022. All right, this is the pattern of conduct. It's 9:37 a.m. and this is POC. Alrighty, just showing you some of the images of the entity at the state facilitating venue, the Upland City Hall, where they are monitoring with the entity, engaging in that specific act of terrorism. They are group stalking inside of that venue. And these are the minions who are inside of the Upland City Hall while the entity flies over by helicopter, flies directly over me under what is the fake sun. And doing so while the entity is then sounding what is amplified sound of sirens. Those criminals are captured inside of the Upland City Hall. And again, this is just a sample speaking to where I am present, where I'm located. The entirety of that entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct. And this is, again, the state facilitating venue of the Upland City Hall, the Upland City Council. This is a venue where criminal conduct is underway, as I've already documented before. And as I literally capture that video, that's exactly what's going on inside of the Upland City Hall. This is criminal monitoring at that venue. And I did capture what are images of those state actors engaging in the entity decides to replicate what I'm documenting the Ontario Police Department engaging in as I'm documenting the people of the state. And this is the personality of Satan. This is demon possession as well. This is the personality of Satan, and it is the provision of evidence against that entity. All right. It is currently 9:41 a.m. And I did walk in, so what I'm speaking to, what I'm referencing is what I'll be publishing are the images, because I also am going to show the faces of those criminals engaging in that sort of terrorism, and doing so in what is a venue called the Upland City Council, the Upland City Hall. They're criminals, and this is revealing their condition as well as their demons. It's 9:42 a.m. and they are monitoring with the Upland Police Department and American Medical Response. 25831W2, 7THW 311, 5WBV 915, 8FNJ 565. See, 7THW 311 is a demon. All right, pacing around, moving around their vehicle, which is, again, while demons do that, they manifest directed light all over the place. So that's what they're doing right now. 8FNJ 565, 8WHA 862, 8MLK 939, 1208 534. That's California exempt. 7YDF 006, MUSKRT 8ULT 017. License 7THW311. That's a Caucasian female who I just captured an image. She's group stalking, and she's a demon. Directed light while she's parking a vehicle in a parking lot. That's a demon. Directed light has nothing to do with that mundane, ordinary act. She's group stalking, and she's demon possessed, and she's monitoring with the Upland Police Department. LVMADSN 8SGN081 8VOH 333 1258244. That's City of Upland. 7MVE024, 8JRF477, 8SGM081, 8ZTF088, 7PRY930, 6WXW329, 4UQTPIE, 7EQH591, 6YOW386, 7YFV803, 8NGM369, 7SWW224, 6ZAT424, 8NNK656, 8ZGN 902, 6WXL 140, 5W, oh, I read that one already, and Metrolink. They're monitoring with the Upland Police Department, 79498U1, 58EL 716, 8VQG 900, NOTOE, 8ZRA 804. I think I read this. In case I did not read this, 6ZAT424, 8YHE 877, 8XPZ520, 8PYR889, 6XDR335, 8EDL 8EDL288, 6HCE216, 7FAS800, 6MEJ653, 7HYH935, 6JVS534, 11985D1, 8UVN915. And it's 9:45 a.m. 6VKY706, 8XQW754, 5RHV573, 8WFL808, 8MKX994, 66635N2, 9AFW 896. And as I have continuously pointed out, this is exactly how and why, exactly what I stated with regard to the unlimited resources of the ability to document an entity subject to federal prison engaging in this level of terrorism with the state, and the absence of any possible pause in that same exact pattern of conduct, stalking by helicopter. And while I'm pointing that out and speaking to the ease with which you are able to document that, the entity engaging in what is that specific act of terrorism, which is nothing other than direct evidence for those who will be subject to federal prison as I'm documenting them. This is exactly what I'm speaking to and why you are able to do that, based on the group conduct that it is, and the conduct that the entity engages in, just like I captured on video. 02706U2, and every single last minion at the Upland City Hall federal prison. All right, and those, again, that's the corruption of literally the local government, as I just captured that. And that is what is going on a daily basis. That's why the entity is keeping a fake sun over me and keeping an engineered light inside of the Upland Public Library, because they're engaged in the P.O.C. The Upland City Hall is directly across the walkway from the Upland Public Library. They're monitoring all day. They are group stalking, and they are sex offenders, while this entity then goes into the bathroom stall stalking with that entity that flies over me by helicopter. Those sex offenders are entering and waiting until my panties are down in order to sexually offend while they are group stalking in a bathroom. 8PTD 643. TALLDEB, 8LZR 353, 8KVW 322, 7CJP013, engaging in criminal summoning again. I'll prosecute her, and she is continuously engaging in it. That's relevant to the ways in which you're going to prosecute the entity as it engages in that ongoing threat to your life, to your liberty. And this is the employee, again, 7CJP013, and also engaging in that bathroom monitoring, as I documented yesterday, waiting until my panties are down to physically cross path, which is not only is that the P.O.C., it is that which is done to sexually offend while you're monitoring documentation. 8NMD194, 4826, 4826-7Z1, 8HHH 834, 7TDH 000. And what you're listening to, this is the ongoing obsessive stalking. They're continuously monitoring, and you're talking about the ongoing pattern of conduct while you document, okay? Federal prison, those are dangerous psychopaths. Obsessive stalking, 7VPU 444, 8LKE 953, 7PPL 623, 7NXP 452, 8GVD 091, 8FEK 730, 6EHJ 586. It's 9:49 a.m. Alrighty, this is in every way the gathering of a bunch of demons that are not engaging in what is enjoying a regular pancake breakfast. This is group stalking. These are the demon possessed. That's why the entity has a fake scent and stalking by helicopter while they sit around with forks and knives in their hand and flipping pancakes. This is the demon possessed population. 8BOD 832, 8ZGT 691, and this is, I'm referencing what is Molly Super, the entirety of that venue, every single last one of them. Group stalking while the entity flies over by helicopter. All right, this is the ability to prosecute all at once, and it's a large bundle, and this is speaking to what is, again, that's the criminal system. And license 7YCY268, 8FBC 815, 8EEK 730. Alrighty, license 8YHY711, 8XHW089, 99749L3. 7TKD276, 8MXL 597, 7PHK033, 8HHL 823, 7VJX 838, 6ADN 148, 8DDK 718, 8YXA 240, 7EYG 682, 5XMA 414, 6DXV 780, 7EHF 187, 7FTD 298, 8LEXION, 8F12299, 6STT 893, 6YTG 511. 61387X1, 7RIW 506, 8NND 997. 83954X1, that's Kim Mark. 8Z71601. 8TXW530. 7XIR 311, 7VBA 941, 7AMY035, 4TSD 605, 8PTD 203, 8XRE 512, 7VRF 153. 8BTJ127 2624 OK1, 8BCU674 7MBP192, LIZ1999. This one, 6ZRU226. 7LET211. There we go. This is license 8LKE953. Shoe companies. Shoe is spelled SCHEU. Shoe companies located at 177 2nd Avenue. They're engaging in the state's pattern of conduct. They're engaging in what is that terrorism in relevant position, a part of that same exact pattern of conduct that they captured on video. They're engaged in that P.O.C. And that is direct engagement in that pattern of conduct in concert and on behalf of the state under what is the name Shoe Companies. The entity, they are present in relevant position while the entity keeps a fake sign over me, directed light inside of the Upland Public Library, stalking in the bathroom, stalking with noise, pacing all around by the demon possessed. They are monitoring while that ongoing operation remains centered around me at the Upland Public Library all day long. They're also part of what I just documented, the entity terrorizing, hovering by helicopter. License 8887876, license 8RKU 847. 7VJD043, 8HKM245, 7MPL941, and 8RKU847 is engaging in what is that ongoing impunity, obsessively stalking on behalf of the state while monitoring documentation that is relevant to how long that meaning goes to federal prison. All right, 74843L3, make sure I read that one. Every third party that is crossing path, all right, engaging what is maintenance on behalf of the state while this pattern of conduct is underway is speaking to what is ongoing impunity. All right, and that is relevant. That's evidence against them when they're prosecuted and they're going to federal prison for that. 8ZMR617. See, 6LLU550, 43168Y2, 6ZZH507, 8WFY873, 16548V2. 8VXZ070, 8LJY817, 8XKA261. Engaging in surveillance, show you that. And that is surveillance by, again, 8WFY873 outside of the fireplace venue where I showed you the fake sign over me. I documented that already at this venue, and this was before daylight savings time. 8XKA261. 5UKP914, 19157G3. She is engaging in surveillance and doing so, maintaining presence with this minion up here whose vehicle you can hear. 7ZEX400, stalking with light. 7LCE049, 19157G3, 8FSF255, 8U14191, 7, yeah, that's 7VX. License 6HOE610. 6ZCW548. This is surveillance. This is maintenance of presence in the path. What you hear is this vehicle. It's audible activity. 8JZH573. 8D26242. 8PPY968. 81979S2. Just like you hear, this is surveillance, and the minion that I captured an image of, she's engaging in surveillance. They're monitoring together, maintaining presence, audible activity creation. Minions are patrolling around, and minions are also in position inside of these venues. All right, this is lining the path. That's called impunity. Gowdy law, they're monitoring. United States Postal Service, you already know that. Vehicle 02179995. The fake sun's nowhere near 123 West Hope Boulevard, where the United States Postal Service is in Ontario at 945. It's right here over me where I'm at Gowdy Law. 7KHT095 is group stalking. 6YZN171, and doing so in concert with the Upland Police, engaging in that specific act of terrorism while they're monitoring documentation and how you're going to be prosecuted, and then you engage in that ongoing act to further threaten the life. You're going to federal prison for that. 6HJE411. Because you don't like the way that you're going to be documented for your criminal conduct, and then that's the personality of Satan to engage in more of it, and it's more evidence against people of the state who are going to federal prison monitoring with those police departments. 6UEZ637, 5ECN386, 7SRD584, 7KFL034, 7RYW876, 7HRU266, 6EDB337, 5JAT651, 7GPU914, 82734G2. 8YOG483. 7X65395. 8RKG444, 8GYH093, 5G78043. All right, showing you the group stalking conduct of the demons wearing United States Postal Service uniforms. All they're doing is group stalking, wearing a uniform, and maintaining presence by delivering mail on the block in relevant position under the fake sun. That's what those demons do. And as I go to their headquarters at 123 West Hope Boulevard, that's exactly what they're engaging in, while the fake sun is remaining today over me in Upland, California, while as opposed to when I'm in Hope Boulevard in Ontario, that's the fake sun that's over that venue. But that's also speaking to what is not the sun and the demons that are U.S.PS. The feds monitoring American citizens, group stalking, because it's at the same venue after 7 p.m. There we go. Thank you. Alrighty, it's 10 a.m. and I'm showing you what is the fake sun that's right here over me at the law office of the Gowdy Law, 267, which would be 267 D Street. This is the pattern of conduct. Alrighty, capturing video of the fake sun right here over me at the Gowdy Law office. This is located again at 267 D Street. And the third party that I captured on my podcast, and I also capture in video, engaging in what is ongoing facilitation, loitering in relevant position, doing so on behalf of the state. That's stalking by helicopter. That is the state that is present via a third party that's engaging in surveillance with and on behalf of that entity, monitoring with the demon possessed who are in relevant position, whose license plates I read, and also who are patrolling all around on the streets, all around in relevant position. And even doing so, as I capture video of that, it's direct evidence. They're going straight to federal prison for that. It is currently 10:06 a.m. License plate 6FKC 466 8Z63962 5RBG917 6YBS 267 8ZBL 835 TVR DWR 6G57029 6NSM 916 Alrighty, capturing more of the entity that is in relevant position as I remain subject to that pattern of conduct, and specifically the entity threatening with helicopter activity. Oh, so let me just remind you about everybody who's monitoring with that government. Let me show you some impossible light activity. License plate Bellflow 67652E3. That's a demon in a commercial vehicle. And you can see the light as I'm documenting it at this third-party facilitating venue, this community, where the people of the state are in relevant position and engaged in what is ongoing surveillance all day in relevant position to the venue where I'm inside of, coming from Upland Public Library and to the 7-Eleven onto the Omnitrans bus. They're in relevant position all day long monitoring. So let me remind you about those who are subject to federal prison as I document them now, and the entities flying over, stalking, engaging in a personalized threat. While you're documenting, AZBL 835 is engaged in that. And not only that, the community where I'm walking through, you see the ongoing imprint of Satan itself, directed light on the wall. 8ZBA 177, 7CNB 635, 8VSZ 956. 7ZWC 915, crossing path, walking to their vehicle, which is the maintenance of also the creation of activity. Directed light is literally on the property where they're walking from. And as they walk to their car, that's crossing path conduct. They're under the fake sun and engineered light. G82MHJ, that's out of state. 6BHV 734, 94180H3, 8Z27004, 8BUZ 780. 7VVF 488. LHT 591, 3WKD 785, 7WWN 510. 7XVZ 615. Let's see, 7ASL 677. 3WKD 785, 8LES 485, 5VHP 681, FOOOSH, WELLYEA. 8HDH 533, 5FEW 576, 06A A90. And this is Precision Landscape Services. They're group stalking and they're monitoring. 79622P2. 4FAM 570, 5B22118. 6RZM 283. 5COY 430. 8CLH 706. 7WWH 399. LVMY BMW SMK IE60. 8RGX 268. Precision Landscape Services, that is license C-27 1039018. They're creating audible activity. They're pacing around in relevant position under what is the maintenance of a light source that is not possibly the sun. You are not engaging in landscaping. There are demons that are creating the elements of monitoring. With that state, that's stalking by helicopter. 79622P2 is that license plate again. That's also why you have the impossible light activity as I captured on the side of, again, a random street. All right, but you're understanding what's not random. This is what is, first of all, demonic, and second of all, what is criminal monitoring. While maintaining ongoing documentation, it's not a coincidence why the entity wants to engage in stalking by helicopter flying directly over my head, as I'm pointing out the fact that the entity that does that is subject to what is federal prison, and even as I go to Upland, California, it's a CEASELESS P.O.C. All right, so the entity engages in what is replicating that. That's an incredible occurrence in and of itself. All right, and not only that, you're looking at what else is speaking to what's not a coincidence. First of all, the documentation in and of itself that I've accumulated for the period of time. But not only that, the light source is directly over my head. And the entity is engaging what is group stalking by American Medical Response. American Medical Response and what it is doing is already established. You can look at the directed light beside those demons driving such vehicle. They are group stalking. All right, and that's amplified audible activity in the specific environment with, you're talking about moments within documenting the way in which you're able to prosecute, and the people of the state are going to federal prison, and that's exactly why they are going to federal prison. That's nothing other than what is literally a desire to go to federal prison, as you provide that type of evidence. You want to go, and that's exactly where you go. It's 10:16 a.m. All right, and so all I did was walk down 3rd Avenue, 2nd Avenue, off of D Street. But I want to be clear, like I was naming in that video, the 7-Eleven at 204 North Euclid Avenue, they are group stalking and monitoring, and I've already captured their images, the address, documented them for a prolonged period. That in and of itself, even if I didn't walk down the street and get more identified actors right now, they're going to federal prison. They're monitoring as the entity is stalking with a helicopter. They're in relevant position in the specific environment, monitoring, and then monitoring while the entity engages in group stalking by threatening your life with a helicopter. 20288J1, federal prison. And it's currently 10:17 a.m. This is P.O.C. Impunity. All right, group stalking on behalf of the state that's fallen around by a helicopter. This is a Latino female, 4YOW911, where the entity has direct light on the side of this apartment building. That's impunity, federal prison. All right, well, she's got her laundry in the back seat. She's group stalking on behalf of that state. That's an unlawful threat. And this is how the government is engaging in what is surveillance, while the people of the state engage in this ongoing thirst fest, stalking you obsessively. And you're going to quench that thirst with federal prison, period. And the documentation that I've accumulated is showing you why. All right, it is absurd criminal conduct. It is currently 10:17 a.m. Let's see, the people of the state at 258 D Street in Upland, California. They are engaged in surveillance on behalf of the state. This is where the people of the state have documented that third party in the vehicle with the loud motor, engaging in surveillance in front of that third party facilitating venue. And this is also where the light source is directly over me at that third party facilitating venue. They are engaged in that pattern of conduct while the entity also keeps a fake sun over me while I'm at the Upland Public Library in relevant position. All right, this African male who you see is focusing on his communication device while he's group stalking with the San Bernardino County Fire Department, who's crossing path on 2nd Avenue in relevant position in concert with 7UHM978, 8TVA373. Alrighty, that male is engaging in the pattern of conduct. It's currently 10:19 a.m. Alrighty, license plate 8AVD809. They are group stalking under the fake sun at 2nd Avenue and D Street, as I just captured video at 10:19 a.m. showing you what is not the sun over the entrance of the Upland Public Library at the same time. That is very precise. It's not even in the direction of the Upland Public Library. So the entity's light source is directly over my head at this quality fireplace, 8 PPS 107, which is also in conflict with the time that I documented that same positioning over my head at that same exact venue as I documented prior to daylight savings time, which is again speaking to what is revealing stalking with a fake sun. It's not even the actual sun. It's inconsistent with what you're doing. You're maintaining it. So in other words, if I stood right there at that sidewalk, the fake sun will remain there all day long. All right, just like you're witnessing inside of the Upland Public Library. But that is my documentation capturing that, and this is the environment where the entity is stalking by helicopter. And the entity, that's not the first time, by the way, the entity is stalking by helicopter in Upland, California. Upland, California, the Upland Police Department, engaging in what is that specific act while I'm documenting the fact that the Ontario Police Department engaging in group stalking by helicopter. And the people of the state, 1033745. The people of the state in Upland, California are being documented with regard to what is at CEASELESS P.O.C. So the entity resolves, we might as well just go on ahead and engage in that too, since you're documented. This is the rationale of Satan. All right, it's an absence of a coincidence that the entity is flying over my head. all right, under the fake sun, at this venue in Upland, as I am documenting the demon-possessed Ontario Police Department. Like I said, that is going to what is the disbanding and federal prison, not just of the Upland Police, but the people of the state. 8 PPS 107. And again, as you're listening to me, as you're seeing me, as I capture video, it is not just license plates. That's just one of many methods of documenting who all is around you, who all is subject to that prosecution, literally grounds of federal prison. 8 REC 206. As you're talking about what are the venues, the locations where you're at, who is monitoring with that government that's stalking by helicopter, all right, who's threatening your life at that level, while you're also documenting. The process of documentation is automatic grounds of federal prison, right? The government that's continuously threatening your life while you're documenting the fact that you're subject to that P.O.C. Is the automatic enhancement, if you will. And this is what the people and the government itself engaging in that criminal conduct are subject to. It is currently 10:26 a.m. And as you saw in my video at Quality Fireplace, there is no sun that is over the entrance of the Upland Public Library at that time, or would be under any circumstances, especially when I'm far away in Chino. And I'm not just in Chino, I remain in Chino, as I documented April 12, 2022, where the entity at 10:19 and then 10:31 and then 11:09 when I'm at the Chino Branch Library, and then well after 6:30 p.m. The entity did not come to Upland, California. It's not remaining at both venues at the same time. This is Stalking with Light. Alrighty, and this is what the entity is doing, following now to the entrance doors where the sun was supposedly already present. Again, that's not the sun, and that's why I'm able to walk away and show you what is the central presence over my head at a totally different address, and what is not from even the direction of the Upland Public Library. I have to turn around and show you. There's the Upland Public Library over there, and here's the light source right here over me at the same time where I was yesterday at that entrance, at that library. That's where the entity had the light source in that same position that it is at the Quality Fireplace, right over my head. All right. In doing so, in conflict with what it would be right over my head in Chino, California. All right. So this is informative to know what the criminals are at any level. And this is the Upland City Hall. They are violent sex offenders. They're monitoring while demons are pacing in the bathroom. They're monitoring while demons are stalking with noise. They're monitoring while demons are stalking in helicopters. And they're also engaging in what is that ongoing terrorism that is inherent to such a pattern of conduct. And that's the Upland City Hall. As I already pointed that out. I'm documenting that while I'm inside of the Upland Public Library. And that's what I'm saying. You're talking about what your location is. The Upland City Hall is engaging in criminal surveillance all day, monitoring while the entity is stalking with noise all day, and they are inside of what is a relevant, and this is informative, there is no exception to what is revealing demon possession, demonic activity, which is also serving what is criminal surveillance in the state of California. All those demons are sitting in there monitoring, sitting behind desks in that air-conditioned little office called the Upland City Council, while the entity is outside flying over my head by a helicopter. Oh, they're directly engaged in that. And they remain engaged in it while the entity keeps a fake sun and direct light inside of the Upland City Hall, focusing that activity, that environment over the Upland City Hall. Okay, over the Upland Public Library. They're monitoring all day. While I remain, they are fully engaged in that P.O.C. All right, so I did walk in and show you up close images of what are the demon possessed that are inside of that Upland City Hall, engaging in that sick, twisted system and sitting inside of the building of the Upland City Hall. That's the government. That's the local government inside at the city of Upland, California. It's currently 10:29 a.m. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is 10:32 a.m. This is the entity that's stalking in the bathroom, stalking by helicopter and stalking in the bathroom. It's 10:32 a.m. This is Upland Public Library. Thank you. Oops, sorry. And it's Kristen, right? Yes. Or Kirsten? Kristen. Oh, Kristen. Okay, sorry, Miss Kristen. Okay. Can I get a laptop, please, and a, well, if you have any study rooms available? I have study room. I even have 2 or 3 because one's checked out. Okay. I'll take number 2, I guess. It doesn't really matter. If I can see your card. Sure. Okay, Kristen's engaged in criminal summoning, and she's also group stalking in the bathroom. All right, and you hear what's actually demonic. That entity is monitoring with my panties down while the entity enters inside of that bathroom, okay? That's what Kristen is engaged in, and it is 10:36 a.m. This is engineered light. While you hear sirens, that's called criminal summoning. That in and of itself is federal prison. But Kristen engaged in more than that. The entity is flying over my head by helicopter. That's an unlawful threat to your life, all right? While they are engaging in what is also sexually violent conduct, stalking in the bathroom, while monitoring documentation, the impermissible threat. All right, doing so while directed light in the fake sun remains over your head, that's an unlawful threat as well. That's federal prison on multiple grounds, okay? It's 10:36 a.m. All right, these minions group stalking in study room number 1 are engaged in criminal summoning. They are group stalking on behalf of the state that is using helicopters to fly over my head. They are psychopaths, that's what you're witnessing, while they are group stalking another. And the form for the demon-possessed population is that they're consumed in some other activity. While directed light, the fake sun, stalking with noise is underway, and including stalking in the bathroom. They're violent sex offenders. And I am capturing their images at 10:38 a.m. It is 10:38 inside of the Upham Public Library. Okay, this is P.O.C. All right, these are the demon-possessed. What they're engaging in is the maintenance of audible activity while they're stalking in the path, while engineered light remains on the grounds throughout the Upham Public Library. And they even use their conversation, as I've also shown, their demons that are focused on you, and their outward activity is supposed to be that which they are focusing on. That's what they are solely relying upon, which is in no way any legal argument under federal group stalking and monitoring. This is a psychopath, that is Satan acting amongst the people. They are even using their audible activity creation, which is their conversation in study room number 1, in order to stalk with activity. Okay, maintain activity while they're monitoring what I document on podcasts, what I documented by video. They're maintaining presence as I then publish this documentation. It is 10:40 a.m. And that is known because that which is not the sun, not the natural environment, the maintenance of engineered light, the maintenance of the light source over the venue. And that is why I show you zoomed in close-up images of minions, demons. All right, because you need to witness not only am I documenting their criminal conduct, I'm revealing their condition, their demons, psychopaths. It's currently 10:40 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the hefty demon that you see in study room number 3, she is entering, again, by way of Kristen, and she's entering with simultaneity to what I do on my phone, and this is monitoring. These are demons that are engaging in group stalking, and this is how it's underway inside of the venue, and you also see the directed light on the ground. And so this stalker enters into the study room, and so this is, in other words, I want to get a study room, and they just so happen to get the study room, access the study room, and walk in the study room, which is crossing path and engineer light with simultaneity to what I'm doing at the moment that I change functions on my phone. And this is going from my podcast to my camera, reviewing my footage. The moment that I engage in that change and activity on my communication device, this demon is entered in, and that creates also amplified audible activity, just unlocking the door, closing the door, amplified noise. You have what is crossing your path. They're an engineered light, not just the concentrated light that you see, as I've shown you what is my shadow that appears in the shade. They are pacing all around an engineered light with simultaneity to what I do, focused on what I am doing, stalking with their presence, stalking with their noise creation, and stalking in engineered light. That's what this overweight minion is doing, joining into study room number 3 on my left side, and the minions that are in relevant position talking about colleges while they're monitoring, criminal monitoring, engaged in criminal summoning. These are psychopaths that are engaged in demonic activity. It's criminal monitoring violation of Title 18 as well. It's 10:47 a.m. and I'm speaking to what is the significance of the pictures that I took of this demon. I'm in study room number 2. Okay, so this is P.O.C. All right, these minions are engaged in criminal summoning, the entity amplifying the impossible sound of sirens while I'm inside of study room number 2. And this is the people of the state engaging in the P.O.C. It's 10:50 a.m. All right, it is currently 12:03 p.m., so I want to document the ongoing criminal activity. The overweight Caucasian female with the gray hair, red top, with the Asian female in study room number 1. They're engaging in what is criminal surveillance. They're engaged in what is federal stalking by entity in the bathroom. They're engaged in what is ongoing harassment by an entity, harassment and intimidation while the entity was amplifying the amplified audible activity of sirens inside of the study room. And also while I was at the circulation desk, as I documented on podcast, checking out this laptop. They are present for group stalking as I walk into the study room, and they remain in relevant position while the entity, this is terrorism that these demons are engaging in as the one single unit. This is the state of California that's utilizing their presence. This is criminal conduct, and I want to document the maintenance of their presence. I did capture these demons' images, and what they're doing is maintaining presence while the demonic activity that I remain subject to inside, and this is terrorism while criminal monitoring is underway. They remain present, and as I've documented the methods, the demonic methods of maintaining noise with simultaneity to what I'm doing online, and while I'm in study room number 2, ongoing creation of sounds such as like a loud booming heard inside. You have what are the absence of any children, no babies or walking around, but you have what is the entity engaging in this demonic pattern of creating audible activity, the sound of where these demons with the children upstairs, that as though you could hear that through the floor, through the study rooms. All right, these demons are now exiting as I document them. So let me show you that. And what I'm capturing is this is the psychopaths that are the demon-possessed population. They're maintaining presence around while the entity is maintaining the creation of noise. So, for example, while I'm at the Ontario Museum and I'm outside and I was, you could hear it because the entity that's engaged in this criminal conduct knows exactly what you engage in what is creating noise as though there's a woodpecker at the museum. As I start recording, this is Satan that's sitting around and anticipating what I'm about to publish on my podcast. And so you could hear in the background the entity doing more of what it was using as a means of stalking me with noise. And so as I began recording it, the entity provides more evidence of the very thing that I'm documenting. And it is the stalking conduct. It's a demonic environment, stalking with noise. Inside of the study room, the entity is creating ongoing noise while these demons are surrounding in the physical presence. And this is group stalking conduct. This is terrorism. And they are, that is ongoing evidence of their demon possession as well, by the way. That is demonic activity. Sitting around talking about geopolitics is nothing other than what they're creating, which is audible activity, which they are doing in relevant position, in directed light, while the entity is engaging in that conduct. This is the conduct of the demon possessed as they act as a single unit to keep you under surveillance. And so I want to document that. And their presence is also documented on surveillance cameras. They're monitoring with that demon, Kristen, who is pacing in relevant position with the patrons, all of whom are demons together in the same demonic environment, engaging in ongoing surveillance on behalf of the state, the same venue where the entity is stalking by helicopter, as I captured at 9:34 a.m. under the fake sun, which, by the way, has remained after, as a matter of documentation. You see it clearly over the same building at 5:35 p.m., aiming light into and even molesting into the same venue at the end of the day upon my exit. This is stalking with light in the same way that the entity is stalking with helicopters and stalking with noise, which is what Kristen is engaging in. This is terrorism that Kristen is going to be prosecuted for. Kristen is not by herself. Kristen is nothing but one employee representing, first of all, the people. Okay, my ability to recite more than one name of an employee or capture multiple parties, understand this is speaking to what the ordinary target individual can document in its documentation of the whole entity. All right, where you're at, that's speaking to everybody else around that is monitoring as well. They are being documented at the same time. So like I said, Kristen is this particular demon who's pacing in and out. Kristen is monitoring while my panties are down. Kristen is group stalking and monitoring in violation of federal law and engaging in what is a sex offense on behalf and in concert with the state of California, while a demon enters inside of that bathroom, while altogether the entity is monitoring documentation, which is an impermissible threat. And Kristen is also pacing back and forth in relevant position in engineered light, creating amplified audible activity and complementing that ongoing ongoing demonic environment, which is the creation of what is just ongoing noise being funneled into and around me inside of the study room. And this is the pattern of conduct that's occurring inside of any venue, indoors, outdoors, it does not matter. This is that same P.O.C, and I want to document that. These are psychopaths, and so I'm showing you what is the close-up images of the demon possessed, and they are not separate at all by age or race or economic status. They are united by their condition, which is demon possession. These are minions of Satan who are the face of the government that's stalking by a helicopter flying directly over my head. And they are easily captured while they are stalking on behalf of that government inside of this venue where the entity is remaining for the duration of the day, engaging in surveillance on behalf. This is engaging in the bidding engaging in the bidding of that government that's engaging in this criminal system. All right. And this is impunity. As you see them pacing around in vehicles in direct light under the fake sun, you're witnessing impunity as they remain inside of the venue of the Open Public Library, engaging in what is all manner of activity, creation, presence, while this demonic environment of audible activities. This is impunity. All right. It is relevant for how you are prosecuting, and you are subject to federal prison for that. It is the enabling of a government that is ceaselessly engaged in surveillance, and that impunity follows into the bathroom. They're very thirsty sex offenders. They like to engage in stalking in the bathroom. They like to follow you in the bathroom while seeking to sexually offend in doing so. And these are sex offenders of the female and male gender. Understand, you're talking about what is demonic. Satan itself, demon possession. This is not in any way relevant to gender. It's not relevant to age or race. You're talking about what is united by the condition, demonic activity. Now, when you're prosecuting human beings engaging in what is demonic activity, which is terrorism, which is also a matter of objective evidence, there's no way that it's impervious to prosecution. I'm just speaking to you about what is understanding. Satan is using all manner, which it's a violation. You're a sex offender. You're a dude who is stalking a female in a bathroom. You're a demon that knows that my panties are down while you're going in a relevant position, pacing around, engaging in what is criminal monitoring for that purpose. And that's entirely offensive, right? That's sexually violent. That's entirely predatory. It's exceptionally creepy. Okay. It's fully perverted. But not only that, it is demonic activity. And demonic activity is not in any way dissecting the demon possessed amongst their gender. All right. They're all engaging in this sexual violence together. And it's because the demon possessed are engaging in an abnormal level of determination to place you under surveillance. Now, you're going to prosecute what is a violent sex offender based on what is, again, males having no business engaging in surveillance in the female restroom. That's exactly what you're doing in relevant position. That's exactly what they're doing. And it goes out. Let me be clear. The minion that I documented across the street molesting me while these demons are driving by on Euclid Avenue after I exited after 6:45 p.m. In the same way that she is in relevant position under the same exact fake sun and molesting with directed light, while the impossible occurrence of what is touching me with light while you are driving on a street, and the impossible occurrence of what is the maintenance of a light source, which is not possibly the sun, they are in the same way engaging in what is federal stalking by entity in the bathroom, by virtue of living in relevant position. The same venue that you saw along Euclid Avenue where the entity was flying over me and over their venues where they live, the people of the state, this morning at 9:34 a.m. where the fake sun was over me. Those are the venues that represent the people of the state. This neighborhood is engaging in a sex offense. Okay. The Upland City Hall is engaging in a sex offense. So this is how expansive that is. Now, with regard to what's demonic, you're talking about what is sexual violence indiscriminately. All right. And this is that which is occurring on an ongoing basis. And so I want to make sure that I describe that and make sure that you understand the levels of perversion and the levels of violation that is occurring on a ceaseless basis. While the entity provides that evidence of stalking by helicopter, that is the provision of evidence of the state of California that is stalking in the bathroom, a sex offender. All right. And existing federal law has not yet contemplated the government engaging in that sexual violence. It's invasion of privacy by an entity that's engaging in what is criminal monitoring in violation of existing federal law. But federal law does not address the fact that you are subject to criminal surveillance while you are physically indisposed, genitalia exposed, subject to what are those third parties monitoring with that government surrounding you in that private space. Legislation is wanting for what is necessary, specific laws dealing with that sexual violence, that predatory surveillance conduct, entirely sexually motivated while this demonic activity is underway. And so I want to be clear, the entity is engaging in all of that. They are in relevant position, they being the minions in study room number 1. And it's not a coincidence those minions get up and engage in what is, again, not only fleeing, but it's crossing a path. And they're not coincidentally doing so under the fake sun, indirect light, and amplified audible activity while I am specifically documenting their maintenance of presence while that conduct is underway. That is a documentation of presence on behalf of the state. And not only that, I capture what is their images, their use of the library facilities in study room number 1, maintaining presence the entire time while the ongoing terrorism is underway. Those are terrorists, and that's exactly how they're going to be prosecuted. And what is the grounds of federal prison? Engaging in criminal summoning, engaging in what is the impermissible threat, engaging in what is group stalking while the entity is threatening the life of an American citizen at this venue where the entity is stalking by the police, by American Medical Response, using sirens and such to amplify audible activity, facilitating criminal monitoring, doing so with all manner of the presence of that entity. So I want to be clear, and it's not just the minions in study room number 1, the overweight minion in study room number 3. All right. She enters pursuant to what is stalking with activity. She's a demon. She is sitting in relevant position. It's the same exact demonic behavioral pattern, a different face. And it is also the same public entity, the state of California. It's currently 12:13 p.m. and this is P.O.C. at the Upland Public Library. Ongoing terrorism and ongoing federal stalking and the sex offense is underway as well. And this is documentation of what is the entirety of an entity. It's not limited to the Upland Public Library, as I reminded you yesterday. Okay. Grossman Law Center, they're in relevant position, okay? The Gowdy Law Center that I went down the street just to document specifically after the entity flies over by helicopter, because they're all monitoring, so don't forget that. And it's a matter of what I'm publishing on the documentation. When this is in federal court, this is not forgotten. I'm literally breaking down what is the process, the way in which you're documenting an entity, and what logically follows. It's conduct on behalf of the state. The state is surrounding all manner of presence, all the businesses, all the venues where people live, all the presence, all the methods of presence. They're engaging in what is digging up the concrete. Well, those demons are creating light activity while they're wearing hard hats and engaging in what is construction. It's all manner of state surveillance. It's different methods of the same exact pattern of conduct, which is maintaining light activity and relevant positioning. All right, so just you're remaining cognizant of that, but don't, because I'm not standing in front of 7-Eleven right now at 204 North Euclid Avenue, where the state is keeping a fake sun at as early as 8 in the morning and as late as 6:30 in the evening. This is not in any way forgetting them. They're engaged in that criminal act that I captured on video. And I can use that. Our ordinary target individual has evidence to place every single last one of them in federal prison. All right. And in addition to that, I've already documented them. And they've already satisfied that aspect. This is even more so. Like I said, you have what is a wealth of resources with regard to justice in the same way that the entity is engaging in a wealth of resources to keep you under surveillance. All right. So nobody's getting away with anything, and they will serve that penalty. And it is inevitable as you are witnessing, as I'm documenting it. Oh, absolutely necessary. As a matter of justice, it's 12:15 p.m. and this is P.O.C. All right, documenting stalking in the bathroom. This is what the state of California is doing, and I'm capturing a plethora of still images of what is the light activity. This is engineered light. This is criminal surveillance. This is the perpetual sex offender. The same one that is clearly evidenced as engaging in stalking indeed at the same venue where the entity is keeping a light source, which at 4:05 p.m. there would be no sunlight aiming through the roof of the Upland Public Library when it is remaining over my head. Standing outside of the doors of the Ovid Family Community Library at 4:05 p.m., documenting the same exact conduct in Ontario at the Stater Brothers at 646 West Hole Boulevard, which I provided. Those are images of showing what's plain stalking with a light source. That's not the sun, both of which are mutually exclusive, in addition to those two other locations of the light source directly over my head, both of which are locations where the entity is over me in the morning as well. That's speaking to what is duration of time of virtual impossibility, scientific impossibility, stalking with light, not the sun. But in addition to that, you have what would not be any sunlight that's appearing inside through the roof of the Upland Public Library, creating the shadow of the staircase, which is a very interesting and impossible method of light activity. The imprint of the staircase flat on the ground, the imprint of the chandelier in the middle of the floor that is hanging on the ceiling, that is appearing in the shape of the window. This is speaking to what is engineered light. Where engineered light hits the objects, the literal shape of that object and the that appears in the light appears.
All right, the light appears on the surface and it's in the shape of whatever object that engineered light is hitting. That is speaking to what is not normal light, by the way. And you have what is also the objects that it's hitting as it's aiming through that window. So that's why it's the staircase that's appearing through the shape of the window that's on the floor. And that's occurring in different places. In addition to what is the light that's actually hitting that staircase, you can see what is the, where the entity hits that light. And then you'll also see in what are positions. The entity, this is demonic conduct. This is Satan that's just touching all over with the light activity, all right? And what I'm doing, this is impossible light activity, just articulating what it is you're observing in the environment, and then you're seeing how that would never appear in that manner at all, okay? Let alone when the sun is overstated brothers in Ontario. But nonetheless, the entity is stalking in the bathroom. That's what I documented. And these are demons that are engaging in stalking in the private space. The minions that walk into the Discovery Lab, they do so as I'm beginning to pack up my belongings. They're stalking to maintain presence as I walk out of the study room. That's group stalking. The minion that is in study room number 3, maintaining presence and enters as I begin uploading or publishing onto YouTube my video documentation, ongoing knowledge of what I'm doing on the internet, and maintaining presence while the entity is stalking with ongoing activity, pacing and loitering in relevant position in front of the book stacks that are in front of the study room, just standing there. A demon that is stalking and staring at books while they keep that third eye on me. This is Satan, that's group stalking. And you can see the ongoing maintenance of directed light inside of the venue because the sun would not be present over the roof, which is the form for what's sunlight inside of the venue. So the entity is, again, engaging what is suggesting an absolute impossibility. The sun is not going to remain over 450 North Euclid Avenue, as I documented again this morning, and then it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it remains even later than that. My documentation, even before daylight savings time, which we are in now, the entity kept the fake sun from morning until the end of the day, literally, whenever I left. And not only that, that is mutually exclusive to when I went to Pomona. The sun's not over up in Public Library when it remained over me in Pomona, which I documented. And then when I started going back to Fontana, a grand departure that's not occurring at the same time. You have this mutual zenith, this plane stalking with the light source. So that's the ongoing environment while they are stalking in the path. They are the demon possessed, and they are following into bathrooms, and they are acting with impunity, and they are going to federal prison for that. All right, that includes the employees of the Upland Public Library, especially. That's the easiest method of documentation. By the way, easiest method. And it is the removal. You do not, by the way, as I have already stated, when you have the entity group stalking and threatening your life with helicopter, no, you will not have any legal argument in court when you are prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring. That goes without saying, okay? The entity stalking by helicopter at 9:34 a.m. is Exhibit A. No, you do not have a legal argument. Employees at a facilitating venue is one of the easiest, simplest. It is the default method of documentation and the way in which you are holding an entity accountable for its criminal system. It's 4:23 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, criminal summoning, license 7JSN 567 8YOE 196 7TVJ 199. And the Upland Police engaged in bathroom monitoring, and they are currently engaged in what is stalking in the path with light, 8VEY 316, 7X51460, 4055OB3. And Katie with the purple hair, she's engaged in criminal summoning. She's inside of the Upland Public Library, 6KKD 539, 8SNL 867, 8POV 104, 57228D2, 8RDP 539, 8EYP 686. This is the same Upland Police Department that was flying over my head this morning with helicopter. They're outside of the library, under the fake sun. 7MBT 240, group stalking with the minion who's sitting in front, who's in relevant position, bathroom monitoring, maintaining presence. And license 6NGU 395. And they are at the venues of, hold on, let me get this. All right, Metrolink engaging in criminal summoning. And capturing video of the Upland Police group stalking, Amazon Prime engaging in criminal summoning, driving on Arrow Highway right now. And these demons in the Upland Police Department vehicles are group stalking at 379 Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun is right over. You can see it as I stand there. And then you have what is directed light. While these demons are group stalking with the Upland Police, directed light is moving across the grass on the curb along the ground. This is impossible light activity. They're all demons. Again, the police, this is the demon-possessed population, and the people of the state, demon-possessed population, monitoring me together.
All right, and the demons of the Upland Police are engaging what is the same behavioral pattern of stalking the path with light. They're violent sex offenders who are monitoring while my panties are down with Katie, an employee inside of the Upland Public Library at the circulation desk, whose image I captured. And the entity is sounding what is train activity that you hear right now at 6:41 p.m. The entity was sounding train activity while I was walking to the bathroom. Okay, so I guess they increased the level of Metrolink train activity while I was going to the bathroom. But that impossible audible activity is occurring while I'm capturing Katie's images. And the minion that's sitting right beside the staircase, they're group stalking, and they're group stalking with the Upland Police Department. Okay, and the fake sun is at the same property. That's being at the same property, being at 379 Euclid Avenue. That is non-movement of a light source that, again, not possibly the sun, and that's also not possibly sunlight that is shooting horizontally in lines across the grass and the curb, while the Upland Police are engaging in what is light activity, relevant positioning, activity creation in that demonic environment. Those are demons. This is terrorism, and this is the same Upland Police Department that engaged in what is flying directly over my head this morning under the fake sun at 9:35 in the morning. And also documentation already exists as to how that is not possibly the natural environment as well. This is all captured right now at 6:43 p.m. And in addition to this, not possibly in the sun based on duration of time and the maintenance of light inside of that venue, you have what is the documentation that already exists with regard to what the state is doing with this light source. All right, under the guise of what's supposed to be the natural environment, and you're showing this is not the natural environment, and this is indeed that satanic targeting system, federal group stalking and monitoring, while I am in an entirely different location such as Chino, California, and there is no sun over 379 Euclid Avenue in Upland, California, seen over that house from any vantage point when it's remaining over me in the parking lot. First of all, inside of the Chino Branch Library, 6:36 in the afternoon or in the evening. Second of all, around 7 p.m. when I'm in the parking lot. Third of all, after 7 p.m. when I'm on the same street that I was at, documenting the Chino Police Department, who are group stalking under that fake sun at the 7th Street Theater, okay? And that's just one example. You're talking about on the whole other opposite side, which would be Fontana, California, documenting Sergeant Rice, a demon, on Mango and Seville. It's currently 6:44 p.m. and that was after 7 p.m. The entity aiming directed light onto that street, Seville, the same Seville. That's a street there where I'm there at 9:34 in the morning. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. 7 CMC 996 monitoring group stalking with American Medical Response. 6:44 p.m. They're engaged in surveillance at 711 1515 OX2 in 3VR MYD. Surrounding the grounds, group stalking with the police, 8E76692, 5KXK738, 8DAY075, 8FPA873, 8WES037, and it's 6:45 p.m. Molestation while minions are inside of the store. All right, molestation, opening and closing the door. That's impossible light activity. And it is 6:45 p.m. I'm on surveillance cameras in here too. All right, you got one minion after another coming in with Amanda behind the desk. Well, not the desk, but behind the register, monitoring while demons are pacing in and out, and ongoing molestation, group stalking. You all on surveillance camera? All right, and this is monitoring. Amanda is group stalking, monitoring with the Upland Police Department. 6GPE727 is as well. Ongoing sex offense at 711 at 204 North Euclid Avenue. The minions group stalking and molesting with children as well. That I captured that minion as a sex offender, including children in that sexual violence, and a demon-possessed one. It's 6:47 p.m. 6G61480. Make sure I get all these sex offenders over here. 6RWN050. They're all molesting under the fake sun, which is remaining directly visible in alignment with me as I'm standing at the gas station stalls. Again, this is the maintenance of a light source. An impossible occurrence, 8SVE286. In addition to what is the shooting light while they open and close the door, these are demons. 8XVX101, 6CMC 996.
And it's 6:49 p.m. and I'm on surveillance cameras, and that pattern of conduct is on surveillance cameras as well. License 8 U.S.C. 684. 7 NXF 126 6 ZWS 056. It's 6:50 p.m. License 5EQN 633. And I want to be clear, the entity is engaging in what is an ongoing molestation, again, as an entity, not just Amanda, who's group stalking with the Upland Police, which is grounds of federal prison. She's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring on multiple grounds of federal prison, by the way, and engaging in what is a sex offense while you are monitoring documentation. You're being a sex offender with the police. You're talking about all manner. She was monitoring this morning by she representing what is the entity. So you're talking about a different face, the same actor. You can narrow that down to what is Amanda, whoever it is that you can capture, which is an employee of 7-Eleven, while the entity is in relevant position, and the entity is flying over my head by helicopter this morning. 204 North Euclid Avenue is in relevant position. License. Riders crossing path with a covered up license plate, 7FBG 631. But nonetheless, Amanda is nothing other than an employee who's engaging in what is criminal conduct with the minions who are at that venue to engage in that sexually violent and highly demented P.O.C, demon stalking with light, and doing so because they're engaging in criminal surveillance. So that is literally dealing with what is the hostility of sex offenders. They're identified as sex offenders, as I'm literally itemizing the criminal conduct that the demon-possessed engage in and why they're doing it. 6FON 877, because they're engaging in criminal monitoring. 8NNC 326. And this is all in concert with the Upland Police, every single last one of those sex offenders whose images I also captured, who are also engaging in what is sexually violent conduct with children. ROBNSUN 8FPH 420. 7RUS 418, 7UYG 463, 8ZOK 239, 5KXK 738, 44704C3, 6RWN 050, monitoring, group stalking, molesting in concert on behalf of the Upland Police Department. License 6CPJ 190, SANCPA 6FFW 208, 4RVA 329. All right, loitering in relevant position where I'm at Hoff Orthodontics. Not only directed light swiping across the building, which is impossible light activity. You have what is criminal surveillance along the sidewalk. A demon lining the path with light, just sitting in the vehicle in alignment to me on the side of the road with their foot on the brakes. They're stalking with light activity. All right, that's criminal surveillance. And that is surveillance done in concert with the Upland Police Department. It is 6:53 p.m. License 9AMK876, 6LQE638. (7YCY935), 8ZMZ017. These are demons engaging in terrorism, directed light across the buildings while they're driving in the shade. 7YYJ428, that's a demon. That's prosecution for terrorism. License 8JQT361, that's terrorism alongside with the Upland Police Department. All right, that's serious time in federal prison. 7NHR397, 9AGK587, 7UHW081, 01162R2, MASLOCO 5FIX638, 7WFY973, CB72A28 paper. And the same minion that was monitoring with Upland Police as I captured that video is now arriving. I'm getting on the bus. License 1404973, bus 1329. It's 6:54 p.m.
Route 83, Chino. Please have your fare ready. Be fair. Play your fare. No crazy mode.
6:55 p.m. and I am on bus 1329 going southbound on Euclid Avenue right now, and you do not see the employee's number. This is a older Latino male operating the bus. I have documented him before. I've been on the bus. He's operated the bus, in other words, engaged in this criminal conduct before, as I've been subject to it, but I don't see his employee number displaying right now. It is currently 6:55 p.m. Employee number 3707 is what is displayed on the bus. Okay, so you're reasonably relying upon what they display. And again, like I said, trying to cover up your license plate, for example, it is futile, and you will be prosecuted for any efforts to obstruct that sort of identification as well. This is speaking to knowledge, by the way, while the entity wants to either lie or try to avoid identification, like the Upland Police Department, who's engaging in sexual violence and refuses his name. All right, what he's doing is shameful. All right, and then you have what is impunity, while you have other minions who are engaging in what is criminal activity while they're surrounded by evidence, just offering up their name. That in turn is also no suggestion of innocence. You're dealing with the personality of Satan. But like I said, you have the responsibility, well, I don't want to say responsibility, but you will be subject to additional prosecution where you want to in any way thwart the ability to document, especially with the provision of publicly available identifying information. And a police officer's name, by the way, they're supposedly public servants. There is no reason why he would not, or any officer should not, or would refuse their name. Just want to point that out. But like I said, this is under a criminal pattern of conduct, and you'll be prosecuted for that. You're threatening the life of somebody else, and then when you're documented for it, the psychopath is going to try to refuse, and you address these sort of things under federal law. You address all of it. It's currently 6:57 p.m. and this is P.O.C. All right, this bus, I am arriving at Ontario at Euclid and Holt. Right now it is 7:03 p.m. I arrived at 7:02 p.m. This is license 1404973, as I stated, bus 1329. And this employee, this bus, is the one that you also see in my video where this employee, this company, this is all representing the people of the state. He is monitoring right now, but in facilitating monitoring and doing so in concert and on behalf of the state. But I want to be clear, monitoring with the Upland Police, that's what I captured. I captured all manner of what is not only the fake sun, I captured what is that directed light. This license YP 36761, I believe. Yeah. That is a large truck. I can't see the logo, but that's the license plate. 7 UKP 786, 8ZNS 650, 7 GKY 952, BN81 J44, 7 VWU 959. And also analytically 7 DUG 764. This is the same entity that's group stalking with the Ontario Police, who I captured in video group stalking by helicopter. It's the same pattern of conduct you document as you remain subject to it. It's the same entity. All right, that's the pitfall of group conduct, 8 VR M567, and subject to federal prison. All right, That is amplified audible activity. That's called impunity while they're monitoring documentation. She's going to federal prison for that. All right, they're all monitoring on behalf of the state. The state is utilizing every single last one of them. If the target individual only documented one person, understand that represents the people. All right, it's not individualized, it's group conduct. The government is acting through all of the people, even if you document one person, a part of that single unit, that group. And that minion right there, who I just read her license plate, while you hear amplified audible activity, that's called the impunity of the demon possessed. And you prosecute her for that. 8NKN811, 8TQB083, I believe, 8B85948, 2512912. And this is the entity, again, that was group stalking, is group stalking now, and doing so as I capture on video while the Ontario police are using helicopters to engage in terrorism and stalking. 7JHF920. That's how that goes analytically. And by the way, when you're getting the big picture, all I'm doing is going from Ontario to Upland, but I'm subject to the same criminal system. So you're talking about what is a superficial separation. There is no division. Ontario and Upland is the same entity. That's why you have the impossible occurrence of directed light. You're understanding what is the same criminal conduct, as I stated earlier. While I go to Upland and I'm sitting in there, you're talking about what is the ordinary target individual. Say you sit in the Upland Public Library all day long and you have the government that's stalking you by helicopter, okay? The police department that's stalking you by helicopter, and then you sit inside of the library. Those employees, at the very bare bones, anything you have, I'm showing you how you're going to be able to prosecute, and they will be subject to justice. You're not going to avoid it. 1545837, Omnitrans, 53238J3. All right, you're talking about what is quenching that thirst of those demons. The entity engaging what is satiating that demonic appetite to engage in terrorism, which I have been thorough enough to capture in video documentation as a matter of objective evidence of what the police departments are doing, and they're doing it in concert with the people of the state. Okay, and the people of the state, wherever they are, will be prosecuted for that criminal activity. 7HVZ393, 8NYL939, American Medical Response, license 39846C3, vehicle 02298, license 6FGJ466, 59912E1, 58492C2. And group stalking in the 150 East Holt Boulevard parking lot, 8UEH956. This is an Asian male sitting in directed light. Group stalking with American Medical Response, who's stalking at a red light. All right, license 59912E1, 58492C2, 7SZF972, 8MGK255. It is 7:08 p.m. 8S01889, I believe that is. 8S01889, yeah, that's correct. It is 7:08 p.m. and I'm at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where the entity is keeping directed light and the fake sun in perfect alignment with me, where the fake sun rises and where the fake sun sets. If I'm here at that latter part of the day. If I'm in Fontana, then it's setting there, as Sergeant Rice demonstrated while he was stalking. Sergeant Rice of the Fontana Police Department. He wants to be called Sergeant. I'll make sure he's referred to as Sergeant when he goes to federal prison, because that's where that sergeant is going. All right, he's a sergeant for the of minions. All right, but he has no actual authority. He's a criminal, and he's documented it, so literally surrounded with evidence of that. And I'm going to use that. He's going to federal prison. All right, and so when you're understanding, again, getting beyond the superficial barriers where I'm isolating the P.O.C. in order that you may understand what is a pattern of conduct by a state, regardless of where you are at. And also for purposes of the ordinary target individual, an American citizen, that is learning, first of all, what you're subject to. Secondly, learning what is demonic activity, the presence, the precise formula for knowing without a shadow of a doubt as a matter of objective evidence, not just intuitive knowledge, not just some hearsay, not just some unsubstantiated opinion of someone. This is that which is a precise formula in that environment. Is exactly what you will find yourself surrounded by, and it is the presence of Satan. And then you also have what is specific behavior in that demonic environment. Not only is this realizing what is demonic activity that surrounds you, it is also awareness of what is the demon possessed who surrounds you and that criminal system that you're subject to. And so while I isolate the P.O.C., it is for the purposes of the ability of the ordinary target individual to document in any way that you have at your disposal. Okay. So you're talking about what is being wherever it is. Say you live in your home and you're subject to the pattern of conduct. You're able to document wherever you live is a matter of documentation, because wherever you live, everyone surrounding you is engaging in surveilling you on behalf of the state. All right. And so like I have done with regard to what is showing, because the ordinary target individual is not likely going to ask the demon-possessed police officer that's criminally monitoring you and sexually violating you what their name and badge number is. And I understand that. But you have what is the ability to document where you're located. So even if I didn't cross the street, the people of the state that live at that house where they're group stalking in the path, the very venue that I was walking outside of, the Upland Public Library, Katie, Elaine, Joy, all of those demons who are group stalking all day long inside of that venue are engaging in what is criminal summoning. All right. And the people of the state on surveillance cameras, let me be clear, a prosecution would include nothing other than whatever is your documentation and literally the security tapes of the venue. And not just of that venue, you're talking about the radius around. I mean, you're talking about massive documentation with regard to honing in on those who will be going to federal prison for that. All right. And it is a strenuous, ongoing, diligent effort in order to ensure that while the entity is engaging in this gross conduct, all right, this egregious and reprehensible criminal system, and doing so with that impunity, let me be clear, capital I impunity. You have what is directly relevant to what is necessary as a matter of justice. Impunity, which is why I'm pointing it out. I'm showing how it is being demonstrated, how it's being reflected. You have what is the specific environment, the maintenance of presence is impunity. These demons are monitoring documentation, engaging ongoing obsessive presence, even sounding helicopter in the background right now as I stand here. If you pay attention to that happened moments ago. The entity is engaging in what is impunity. That's going against itself. The people of the state are going to federal prison. The very criminal conduct of, for example, the Ontario Police Department, the Upland Police Department, is the evidence securing that. They're going to federal prison. In addition to the demons flying those helicopters and dealing with those criminals affiliated with those police departments. Okay. And so anyway, it's currently 7:12 p.m. and this is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and Securitas, I believe, is in relevant position inside of that venue of the Ontario Museum right now. They have the doors open. Directed light is reaching into the inside of that museum and possible light activity. And you have what is the entity sounding helicopter activity. They're in their monitoring. Okay. And that is just the very ease with which you're able to analyze that. This is speaking to the environment as you are documenting what is that scientific impossibility remains all day over me at Upland as I walk outside of the same venue, over me as I am literally on the same street. And then as I come back down to the same venue where I left this morning, that's called stalking with an environment. And it's also impossible light activity while it's literally inside of the doors of the museum. And this is 7:13 p.m. That's called stalking with light, and they are in there monitoring. It is currently 7:13 p.m. Let me point something else out to you about this light activity that I just captured underneath the structure, underneath the walkway, impossible light. This is what Satan engages in. And it's focused on the side of the museum where I tend to be at, in the same way where you see the fake sun in the morning, where you see the fake moon at night, where you see the entity stalking me by helicopter, where you see the entity flying over me by commercial airline planes. It's all targeted as to where I'm at. So anyway, what you're looking at also, you can see the shadow of the columns, the same shadow of the columns that you see at nightfall along the middle portion of the museum, the courtyard area of the museum. Those shadows are now appearing underneath the structure, speaking to the trajectory of light. All right. And they are enlarged in size. Not only is that's an impossible occurrence, you're talking about what is necessarily the maintenance of the light source. When I'm in Montclair, the entity's keeping the fake sun at that very specific intersection of Ramona and Holt Boulevard. And then as I get on what is the Route 61, it's keeping that fake sun and moving progressively as I'm on Route 61. That is then headed eastbound on Holt Boulevard as I go to the B&G Plaza. There's no sunlight that's going to from remaining at the intersection all day long and then setting at the right here, specific to that corner of the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. This is documentation, and you're paying attention to that. And why else are you paying attention to that? Because the same B&G Plaza, the same Ontario Museum, this is where I'm at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's not the natural environment. This is stalking with light. But you're also paying attention to the details, of which I want to point out. You're looking at the shadow, the enlarged shadows of those columns. They are now appearing underneath that walkway. All right. You can see the directed light as the doors of the museum are open. And those very columns are appearing literally at a farther distance on the wall of the museum as I capture in the hundreds of videos where the entity is group stalking by helicopter and by the people of the state. So you're going to pay attention to that as well. That's directed light. And here's the entity. That's the Ontario Police Department. And this is, let me be clear, there is a superficial, there is no separation. Elaine and Katie are group stalking on behalf of the entity, and they are going to federal prison for this. All right, it's a wealth of documentation. 7:15 p.m. All right, capturing the Ontario Police Department group stalking, flying directly over me where I am sitting. Okay, and doing where I am sitting, I'm not on the side where I usually am at night, where the entity is group stalking and concentrating its ongoing demonic pacing over there. It flies directly over me, coming from the direction west and flying east over my head where I'm seated at the bench. And I do zoom into what is that blue and white helicopter. That is the Ontario Police, who are group stalking, crossing path, amplified audible activity with ongoing knowledge in real time that I'm documenting. That is speaking to what is impunity, and that is going for what is federal prison, not only for the people of the state, okay, a wealth of documentation of the people of the state who are subject to that criminal, prosecution for the criminal system that they're fully engaged in, and also the demons that are the Ontario Police Department themselves. Okay, and that's the significance of that, and you're also paying attention to the detail of that directed light as I'm pointing it out in that video. And it's 7:20 p.m. and this is P.O.C. at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. And also what you're paying attention to is the ongoing frequency with which the entity is using helicopters to engage in group stalking. This is terrorism. This is hostility by Satan. This is also speaking to what is evidence. That's what you're focusing on, because you're going to prosecute, and they're going to federal prison for a long time. That frequency, that impunity, in other words, all right, with ongoing knowledge, the government that knows that you're documenting and then wants to threaten your life more, that translates directly into years in federal prison. That's what that translates into for the people of the state who are obsessively stalking right now. This is not traffic. These are demons pacing. That's obsessive stalking conduct in the specific environment on behalf of that state, both the police departments and the people of the state. This is the system, all right? And they're subject to what is literally that prosecution based on the very criminal acts that they engage in. Everything that the entity is engaging in is an ongoing communication, not only of what is speaking to very disturbing conduct by a demon-possessed entity, revealing their condition, and also just looking at their criminal activity and how they engage in it, but also with regard to what is translating. Now, with all of this in mind, with what the entity is doing, this is how you are necessarily, as a matter of justice, confronting that. And it equals federal prison, all right? And not only federal prison, those that belong in what are mental wards, contrary to how the entity seeks to kidnap the target individual, for example, and kidnap while seeking to obstruct justice. The actual psychopath is the demon-possessed entity stalking by helicopter day and night, okay? And that's going to be dealt with. It's currently 7:21 p.m. This is P.O.C. Union Pacific group stalking with the Ontario Police Department. The people of the state, you see this minion with the gray t-shirt on. She's carrying a puppy and she's walking another dog. She's group stalking at that amplified audible activity and the directed light she's in. She's group stalking, and she's doing so with the Ontario Police Department. Engaging in surveillance, sitting in directed light, while Union Pacific is the creation of amplified audible activity. Monitoring with the Ontario Police, engaged in surveillance while the entity was flying over me by helicopter. He's going to federal prison. Let me capture this license plate. Okay, so first of all, I want you to see what is directed light that's touching on his face. Absolutely impossible light activity. This is the demon. Engaging in criminal surveillance, license 7NZD690, sitting at the dead end. Union Pacific is audible activity, amplified. 8XNR432. It is currently 7:23 p.m. All right, you see the ongoing casual stalking conduct of this demon that's also at the train tracks, walking amongst directed light, group stalking with the minion who's engaging in surveillance in the dead end at Emporia, sitting in directed light is hitting his face while he sits in the car. And while he sits in the car in relevant position, under the fake sun in directed light, which covers the museum as I captured, while the entity flies over by helicopter. Like I said, that in and of itself is speaking to what is federal prison as you document the people of the state. They will be subject to what is that ongoing prosecution in the ways in which the entity itself, the police departments, the ways in which the entity is acting directly, in other words, they are subject to that same, they are subject to what is justice in the way in which you're able to hone in on that. Not only are the people of the state, that's going on your criminal record, you're going to be prosecuted, but you're talking about those who you document, whatever you document, wherever you are, and as you're subject to it, they're going to federal prison for that, right? All right, it's currently 7:24 p.m. This is Union Pacific, going eastbound. While you see the minion that's group stalking in the dead end, the minions that are group stalking with the dogs, They're maintaining presence around, and they're doing so on behalf of the entity that is stalking, that is the Ontario Police Department. Union Pacific is the guise of the very frequent high use as though trains are going every 5 to 7 minutes. And then if in between those 5 to 7 minutes, if I do something abruptly, literally the sound of a train will just recur. I'm giving an average because this is how frequently the entity is engaging in what is the creation of this activity as though trains are going every 5 to 7 minutes, which at that great volume where you can hear it at 630 North Fern Avenue, where the people of the state are group stalking and they're going to federal prison, where the Ontario Police was group stalking as I was in that vehicle outside of 630 North Fern. That's still documentation that exists. And the entity created activity as though you can hear the train, this great loud train that you can hear that far away, running about every 5 to 7 minutes. It is currently 7:28 p.m. This is activity creation. And this is the prosecution of a company that's engaging in criminal monitoring with the police, which is a threat to your life. And you will be reaching into companies who will go to what is very real federal prisons. Okay, going behind bars and not hiding, having any sense of anonymity. And this is necessary when understanding what the government is engaging in, how it's doing it. And while you want to use companies, well, then this necessitates the ability to hold such companies accountable. Those who are in positions where they will be held responsible. And that includes not only civilly, but criminally, and up to and including federal prison. All right, this is a threat. While the entity is creating this activity, for example, and the entity is stalking over, ominously flying over your head, terrorizing you, stalking you by helicopter, following you around by helicopter, alternating between the sounds of planes and then trains and then helicopter activity. That's psychopath conduct. And it is the personification of Satan, while it is occurring under what is the method that sounds reminiscent of a train, okay? It's nothing other than what is demonic. It's as demonic and as literally artificial with regard to what is the natural environment. It's not. It's the work of Satan, all right? And this is why the use of a train is that which occurs with simultaneous to what I'm doing, anything that I'm doing, all right? And then the train also, the train conduct where you got a train in motion, but when I start recording and I'm laying down and I can't see the train, train activity just suddenly stops. The volume immediately turns down, all right, based on when I'm opening up my podcast. This is Satan that knows that I'm documenting. All right, this is demonic activity. That's what it is. So anyway, it's currently 7:30 p.m. and that's just speaking to what is the policy justifying the pattern of conduct, as I'm revealing, not justifying the pattern of conduct, but justifying the policies for purposes of prosecution and punishment for the government's criminal conduct in concert with the people of the state. It's 7:30 p.m. 8TRR 419. 8ZXR736. They are group stalking. This is federal prison. I took a picture of what the entity is stalking me by helicopter as I leave the grounds of the museum. You're seeing where they're flying. They're migrating as I migrate. 7YNL 651. And these are group stalkers in the path. This is speaking to what is federal prison for the people of the state. This is how they're answering for the criminal system that they're cooperating with, monitoring with communication devices, targeting you together, sickos. Group stalking at the Euclid and Hope Boulevard. And the entity flies over by helicopter as I begin walking. 5LDP 436, 8EDL 594. And I took a picture of that so you can see it. 8DH 132. What you're looking at is called it's called relevant positioning. All right, and the Ontario Police are also group stalking at Mestiza Cafe in a vehicle, and that's the Ontario Police that's stalking by helicopter. Okay, maintaining light around the 150 East Hope Boulevard building, stalking with light. All right, those license plates that I just read, that's federal prison right there. 6KAW062. They are indeed monitoring, surrounding with light activity. License. And that's terrorism that I documenting those third parties engaging in while this other demon over here is on the side of the road with their hazards on. 8MYD937, group stalking with the Ontario Police, 61893T2, 8SJX211, 7VRG969, 5YPT108, group stalking with the Ontario Police, 14575F3, all of them monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. And this is that unlawful threat that the people of the state engage in while they're group stalking and they're going to federal prison for it. 8GWA 389, 9AKF 487, 8XEW 903, impunity. All right, facilitation, holding hands with the demon-possessed Ontario Police, group stalking together, stalking by demon-possessed officers, maintaining surveillance around, sitting at that Mestiza Cafe, that same parking lot where I showed you demonic light all over the edge of that building and that which is not possibly the sun while I'm at the United States Postal. That's where the Ontario Police are right now.
Okay, I was there showing you the fake sun over me at 9:45, and I was there showing you the fake sun at 7:11 p.m. And they are group stalking while the entity is flying over me. That is the Ontario Police by helicopter, and the people of the state are maintaining presence. They're going to federal prison. Everybody working at the Mestiza Cafe, for example, federal prison. Okay, it's currently 7:49 p.m. These are the ways in which you're capable of identifying and narrowing down what are the people of the state and how you can snatch a demon up and put them where they belong. Federal prison. License 8JKL 107. (8YVZ 701). That's Papa John's. And I captured an image of the Ontario Police Department group stalking, engaging in surveillance in alignment with me at the museum, where the entity flew over again right now by helicopter. And by the way, what I'm showing you in the image is what the Ontario Police Department is doing all night long. Surveillance all around me, repeatedly flying over me by helicopter, group stalking, obsessed, okay, demon-possessed group stalking conduct. License plate R218KO 16280T2, that's SoCal Edison. 8WKH 509, 8LNJ 143, 7MPL 725, 8MUC 946, 8LET 440. Monitoring with the Ontario Police Department. Engaging in what is surveillance with the Ontario Police Department. Do you understand, under existing federal law, the Ontario Police are subject to federal prison under Title 18, Section 2261A, under the existing language under that statute. The people of the state, and this is what I'm advocating with regard to what is not specifically, it's not specified. First of all, it's not contemplated that the government is engaging in criminal monitoring. All right, so that's speaking for what is additional legislation. All right, and so you're talking about what is the grounds of the police departments, who are demons, engaging in criminal monitoring, federal stalking, and the people of the state are doing it as well. All right, so you're talking about what is a proxy. You're going to federal prison as well. You're subject to the same. And this is common sense. You're putting in a substitute. What is that substitute subject to? The same thing that the principal will be subject to. Duh. It is 7:51 p.m. and that's what I'm documenting, the people of the state. That's what I've been documenting. And this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct with the demon-possessed Ontario Police Department, okay? Engaging in what is entirely demonic, which is obsession, shown through their stalking conduct, which is terrorism, while a police department is stalking you because they are engaged in criminal surveillance. And it's the work of Satan. It's demon possession. It's revealing their condition to the world. Okay, that's also speaking to what is disbanding that police department. They are thus disqualified. Okay, they have no business in law enforcement. They are literally a threat to the public. As their own criminal conduct, I can't make them fly over me tons of times, hundreds of times by helicopter. They did that themselves. And I was of the presence of mind enough to document it for you. All right, they're going to federal prison for that, and you disband such criminals that call themselves police departments. You disband that. All right, you extinguish that. You literally handle that in every way, and no passive way whatsoever. Very directly, very sternly. This is 280 North Lemon Apartments. That's where the entity is sounding plane activity, following from the museum. That's what the entity is doing in the museum. This is what they're doing right now at the 280 North Lemon Apartments, senior citizens. All right, those minions, as you saw on the side of their apartment buildings, directed light, those are a bunch of demons that live in 280 North Lemon Apartments, and they're monitoring. It's 7:52 p.m. Hello. Good evening. Hi. Crossing path at the circulation desk. They're all on surveillance cameras. It's currently 7:53 p.m. And they're all monitoring the entity following with helicopter. The P.O.C. is underway inside of the Overfamily Community Library. Literally. It's 7:53 p.m. I'm on surveillance cameras, and I have entered the Overfamily Community Library. This is P.O.C. All right, license 8YZH 189. Molesting at the 280 North Lemon Apartments. I'm doing so with the minions that are engaged in surveillance at Ontario Town Square. They're all sitting in their vehicles as I walk out and maintaining presence in the path, group stalking.
And this one touches with light by parking at the 280 North Lemon Apartments at the intersection of B Street and Lemon. 8XFB 108. Lining the path, stalking with light. See, license 4XCR313. And license 8GYR851, 8JJX024. FVD047. And this is a molestation again at the 280 North Lemon Apartments. It's referred to as the Ontario Senior Housing Parter. All right. It is the setting where criminal activity and sexual violence amongst a bunch of geezers that are serving Satan. Group stalking underway. 8YIB 769, 7ESC 971. And this sex offender engaging in surveillance is a demon molesting 4MZL 145. 8PDC 329. This demon engaging in surveillance, he's molesting 3364R95, a paper plate on a white Prius. 6JDW 421. 8SWK 225. Stalking with activity. This is a demon that's monitoring my phone as soon as I turn on the camera function to take pictures of these demons who are engaging in surveillance in the parking lot. This demon crosses path. You'll see in the images that I'm taking, for example, you'll see my shadow that is upright in front of me on the vehicle as I'm capturing this third party group stalking in their car. And I took a picture of what's my shadow behind me. That's impossible light activity. This is a demonic environment. This is the P.O.C. They are engaging in what is this ambush sexual violence with this directed light, while they are seeking to maintain presence around me as I walk, as I exit the Ovid Family Community Library. And remember, they're doing this on behalf and in concert with the Ontario Police. All right, so this is federal prison for the people of the state. They're psychopaths that are stalking. 8XFB 108. And license 8UVY981. Group stalking at Metro 102 in the 280 North Lemon Apartments. You just got everybody parlaying in their cars. It's called what I would frequently note in my handwritten notes when I used to rely on documentation that I would write formally before I just started publishing everything, creating it electronically. The acronym, because it was so frequent. And why? Because I am without vehicle now. So I'm walking around using public transportation. So the minions are stalking by sitting in their cars. Okay. And that is so heavily witnessed and observed for the purposes of group stalking, maintaining presence around me as I'm walking on the sidewalk. The entity is trying to man the path. Okay, you're talking about what is being, everybody's just parlaying in their cars, group stalking, maintaining presence all around me while I'm just walking around. And it was so frequently used, I use the acronym S.I.I.S, because that's what they're always doing, sitting in their cars. Everybody's sitting in their car. It's called lining the path. All right, 8XMG980, 7R 75238. And I think that is armed response team, yeah. 5CGX 505. Not that license plate. I'm looking at the vehicle that's in the parking lot. E570SL 7HPB691 NNB6050. That's Texas. 98HV333. 98HV333. 8AES095 BF45Z23 paper. 5JOR477 9AQA367. 6RCG509 7CJL585. This last license plate that I just read, this African American female engaging in surveillance, stalking in the path with light, sitting in the car, stalking in the path. All right, license plate. This is Metro 102, 7GPH529 and 8YZY372. All right, this is the ongoing surveillance conduct by the people of the state, and this is demonic activity. 8VZY372 is stalking with light activity and creating hazards, sitting in the middle of the street, and doing so at what is Metro 102. All right, and these third parties are documented engaging in that. License 7WXZ001.
All right, they're talking, well, you got Gatorade and while she's glancing at her phone, there are demons that are monitoring. Again, that's 8VZY372, 30386F3, 8MXA027. This is Metro 102 Apartments. All right, not only the license plates, but you're talking about the entire apartment complex. You're talking about the venues in relevant position as well. 8SJA925. They're all methods of identifying the minions that are subject to what is federal prison, engaging in the bidding of the demon-possessed police departments who are engaging in criminal surveillance. This is the state system. All right, that's P.O.C at Metro 102. They're so heavily documented. It's not even funny. And I'm speaking of not just the people that say, I mean Metro 102 Apartments. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave that there. Anyway, it's 9 p.m. That's called impunity. That's what that's called. That's called impunity. License plate 5 U.S.C 303, 5 BHU 306, 7 VJH 759, 50550Y2, 7 WQL 373, 7 PWV 123, 6 FEF 870, 6 PXA 523. Alrighty, and that is again the 280 North Limit Apartments, a facilitating venue. Every single last one. I'm talking fake sun over that venue, directed light over that venue, stalking by helicopter over me at that venue, stalking by commercial airline planes, stalking by the demon-possessed Ontario Police Department. All hallmarks literally captured. And this is the same entity, Metro 102, the same. All right, and this is where the people of the state reside, which is no legal. It's literally, I mean, with regard to what is thinking, oh, I live there, so what are you talking about? I'm talking about you're going to be prosecuted as a group stalker. Satan. That's exactly what you got coming. It just makes you easier to document. It is 9:01 p.m. And that's why you document. You capture that directed light, where they live. You capture that stalking by the police department, where they live. You capture that fake sun remaining over your head, that scientific impossibility, where they live. They're going to federal prison. Alrighty, and this is the entity. I'm on halt in limit right now. It is, let me get these right, 8 KTS 654. And pay attention, the entity is not flying over 280 North Limit Apartments anymore. As I was approaching the library, 6VJ8885, 8KCL025, flying right here where I'm standing and at the intersection of Limit and Holt. That's over the 150 East Holt Boulevard building, over the 3-star janitorial, W6109 handicap. All right, I'm giving you what is understanding what is stalking with airplanes. License plate SMRTIES. And you hear what is that amplified audible activity of the entity flying directly at the location where I'm at, okay? When I am at the museum, in other words, that amplified audible activity, 8ZZK167, 34275J2, 8XEW 735. That amplified audible activity is coming from not from planes that are flying anywhere at this location or flying anywhere near 280 North Limit Apartments. That is the coexisting pattern of conduct that's called amplified audible activity, while a demon is flying a commercial airline plane and flying it directly over me, and that is in relevant position. All right, that amplified audible activity is occurring where the entity is flying directly over me, and it's not occurring where they're flying at a distance away from me, such that this is the ongoing just air traffic. No, the entity is stalking with airplanes, and that's why it migrates as I migrate. And it's not just that, it's an ongoing set of coexisting facts. It's not just one thing. There is a set of coexisting facts. And that's why I keep bringing it up, because it's not just that. It's also plus this, and it's also plus this, and it's also plus this. It is the specific pattern. The entity is hovering where I go, moving as I move, and it's occurring in that specific environment. Directed light. All right. And it's also used as a method, the ongoing identification. All right. Immediately suspect. That same conduct of what you would, some demon try to argue, well, they're just airplanes. No, they're not, because it's also occurring pursuant to the demonic behavioral pattern, occurring with simultaneity to what I do. An airplane just coming out of nowhere, like third-party group stalkers coming out of nowhere. You got creepers and commercial airline planes, and that audible activity is created with simultaneity. All right, so you were already there. Where did this plane come from? How did it just appear? And not only just physically appear, but you're talking about audibly. All of a sudden, you just hear loud roaring. There's no approaching of any sound of a plane that's coming. But like I said, they're not taking off over the museum. The Ontario airport is no distance where you're perpetually taking off. You're hovering in a plane. You're stalking. License 8RRV 419 molesting. And they're going to federal prison for that. All right, they're group stalking and molesting on behalf of the sex offenders, the Ontario Police Department. And that's called impunity. All right, and so they're touching me while I'm on the sidewalk. Their headlights are not reaching over, touching me on the sidewalk. That's a demon manifesting light. Okay, the same directed light I show you that's appearing on buildings while the entity is stalking with light. That's what that demon is doing, and driving on that street in order to specifically touch me. That's predatory. That's a sex offender. Anyway, the entity is engaging in what is creeping in a plane. You're hovering in a plane. In the same way that they act like they're taking off over the museum building, you're taking off that quickly. Well, if that's the case, you would have already been heightened out of elevation, not hovering over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. All right, and the entity is engaging in that conduct everywhere. They're hovering over the Stater Brothers parking lot. They're hovering over 630 North Front. I'm sleeping in the car there. They're hovering over the B&G Plaza. All right, they're hovering over what is even the 10 freeway, documented Southwest Airlines. This is January 2022. But I mean, I documented the commercial airline plane stalking before that. But I'm just giving you a specific example. Even over the freeways, they're hovering over the freeways. And what coexists in a specific environment, that fake sun is directly over my head on the freeway, out the passenger side of the window, right over me, while Southwest Airlines is hovering over the 10 freeway. Documented that. All right, so like I said, it's a coexisting set of facts. It's not just one thing. It's that plus that plus that plus that. That is the P.O.C. And that is the insurmountable evidence of that. So anyway, just pointing out how the entity is falling with commercial airline planes. And that's leaving the Over the Family Community Library, where, again, you're hearing me document the entity flying over me by helicopter as I'm walking to the library. Okay, common sense dictates, and the pattern of conduct has established. And also, it is unreasonable. We're reasoning here, okay? Reason with me. It is unreasonable to suggest that pattern of conduct stops while I'm on the property, walking into the doors of any location, period, let alone Over the Family Community Library, heavily documented engaging in state surveillance and terrorism for years. All right, so they're engaging in the same criminal system as I walk into the doors. Even before I walked into the doors, they were in relevant position while I'm at the museum. Understand that. They knew exactly where I was at. They were monitoring the whole time. As I walk in, those demons know that I'm approaching. Okay, and they're monitoring and with the state the whole time. So anyway, it's 9:07 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, 9:17 p.m. The entity engaging in what is terrorism, and this is Union Pacific that's engaging in criminal monitoring terrorism with the Ontario Police. I am back at the museum as I documented, and 9:16 p.m. engaging in what is the amplification, the exaggerated volume, which is serving for what is criminal monitoring, and it's also harassment, it's terrorism, it's demonic activity, and doing so at the museum right now. So I want to document that. It's 9:17 p.m. This is Union Pacific that's being documented. That is the people of the state. It's a method of what is not only audible activity creation, but the entity is engaging in what is facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring in a specific environment. The entity is engaging in what is molestation with directed light. The people of the state are pacing around on the grounds of the museum. They're pacing around the museum and all manner of what is methods of pacing, again, planes, and using the hyperbolic use, that is, of a train, and also that hyperbolic level of volume, which all of which is terrorism. And this is criminal conduct, and it shall be literally laid out in a federal prosecution against the people of the state under the name, the identification, the title of what is Union Pacific. It's currently 9:18 p.m. And this is, again, the entity engaging in conduct as though this is the ongoing train conduct. This is amplification. And this is P.O.C. Also, while this is ongoing, the entity is flashing light across the opposite side of the museum where the Caucasian male is in relevant position. That's impossible light activity. This is going for the prosecution of the people. That's Union Pacific, P.O.C.